Hey there, it's been a while. How are y'all doing? So I just saw Encanto like a week ago. I've watched it like 6 times now in the last like 10 days. Um, it's been a while since I've made videos because of like Christmas and everything. And that's also kind of why I took a break specifically from the whole like turning Disney princesses into like horror characters thing I was doing. I still really want to get back into that, and now that I'm like fully back into Disney hell, I'm gonna get on that because Encanto, I really want to do that because there's some dark shit in this movie, dude. Um, it's not like scary dark, like it won't traumatize your children or anything. Okay, I just want to like if you want to watch the movie and then come back to this, I just want to say, okay, it's not a perfect movie, but I just love it. Okay, the ending is a little rushed, but if you like large cast of characters, some kind of dark themes, lots of like angst potential, kind of scaled down stories. The stakes aren't super high. It's like a family drama at the center of it more than anything. It just happens to have supernatural elements. Like, go watch it. Like, this is your movie, dude. It's gonna be a good time. Yeah, I just love this movie a lot. Um, I was not expecting to relate to the main character because I never relate to Disney protagonists, really. This one hit different. Like, I wouldn't say I'm like a lot like her, just that our situations are sort of similar. I might get into personal stuff later before I or after I actually talk about like the movie. But yeah, just putting that out there because this movie came for me. Also disclaimer that like I relate to it, but it's like obviously it's like written with a certain culture in mind, which I'm not. So I think like anyone can relate to like some things about the movie. I think like anybody can relate to like anything potentially, you know? But yeah, just putting that out there that it's like written with a certain like culture and family dynamic in mind, and that there are fans who will like completely ignore that and just like toss whatever headcanons they can think of and just like I don't know. It's there's a difference between like kind of relating to something and then being like, "Oh, that's me," and like there's no other explanation for this, you know? So yeah, I'm not trying to be like that out here. Okay, finally onto like the actual movie. Okay. So I've been kind of like cynical lately about Disney. I feel like other than Encanto, like this movie is the first time I've like felt the Disney magic since like Tangled. Maybe Coco, but Coco's Pixar, so like it's like different vibe. But like as far as like Disney princess magic, it's like Chef's Kiss. I'm obsessed. The art, like okay, I don't know how to explain this, but like the animation just feels like so real. You can like feel like the swishy of Mirabelle's skirt and stuff like that, and like every character has their own like body language. Like Mirabelle's kind of awkward. There's a character who's like really dramatic and in all the songs has like really exaggerated choreography. And then there's a character who's like really anxious and kind of like eccentric. And then there's like this perfect character who's so graceful in all her movements. And it's just so nice to look at. Like, oh my goodness. The story, again, it's small scale, like low stakes. Well, to the family, it's high stakes, but like in the grand scheme of things, it's like the world isn't ending. They're not going on some like grand quest or anything, right? If you like characters and like character dynamics, character studies, I don't know if I'd call this a character study, but if you like character studies, there's a lot to work with here. Also, the color symbolism in this is like fantastic. So, like, there's Mirabelle's parents and her sisters. They're all kind of like cool toned, but then she has like an aunt and uncle who have kids and they're all like wearing warm tones. So, it's like a good way of like kind of sorting out like those family dynamics without like having to memorize them all and stuff. So that's good to know going in. And then Mirabelle has like green glasses, which kind of parallels another character who is similar to her in some ways and is kind of the outcast like her. And it's like color, color symbolism. Okay. Also, I'm gonna get a little bit into spoilers here. So this is where the spoilers are coming in. So like, I don't know, light spoilers at first. Um, the whole like reverse villain twist is like so good. I saw it coming, I will admit, but I still loved it. And like even if you know it going in or like you see it coming, it doesn't ruin it because it's just a fun time, fun character. I don't think I've ever like seen a like reverse villain twist before. It's just yeah, it's like different from like the twist villain because it's like, oh, we're betrayed, but then it's like The reverse is like the opposite of betrayal. It's like, oh, this is a good thing. It's just nice. Oh, that also brings me back to the color thing, like the whole color symbolism. Because in Disney movies, green equals villain, but not in this movie. And I'm like, yes. Because green is my favorite color. I just like anything green, I'm just like, yes. That's my favorite. I will say, okay, the one critique I already mentioned is that the ending feels rushed. The first time I watched it, it felt fine. It was good. The second time I watched it, I was like, oh, this is where everything wraps up when everything does wrap up. And it felt really rushed the second time, but like, also, there's not enough time for like everybody to get a lot of screen time. But on the other hand, that's kind of cool because it leaves a lot of room to like explore character dynamics in like fan fiction and stuff. This movie got me reading fan fiction for the first time in like 6 years because I was just like craving more interactions between all the characters and kind of like filling in little gaps that the movie kind of like rushed through, I guess. Stuff like that. I don't know, it just like made me want to talk about it and like see more of the characters, you know? I don't know, it just hit different, man. I don't know what else to say. um, but like even all the little moments of the underdeveloped characters that we do get are all like amazing. Um, it's also just like really funny. Like it's so funny. It's such a funny movie. So, if I haven't convinced you by now, I don't know. So onto the personal stuff, I guess. So Mirabelle's whole deal was very relatable to me because she's kind of like the not normal one in her family. Like for them, normal is being superpowered, and she's not. So it's like, well, this sucks, and her abuela never lets her forget it. um, and I kind of related to that a little because my relationship with my grandma is not the best. Um, I'm kind of the not normal one, but like, obviously, my family isn't magic. It's like that. I'm the mentally ill one and the autistic one, and everyone else in my family is normal. And like, it's like, you know how when Mirabelle, like, when Abuela is talking to Mirabelle before the ceremony, it seems like she treats her just the same as everybody else, right? But once she is revealed to be non magical, her whole treatment of her changes. That's kind of how I felt growing up, and not growing up, but like once I reached adulthood, um, and was diagnosed as autistic, it's like suddenly she just treated me almost like a child, or even like as a threat sometimes. It's very weird. But that's all I'll say about that. Um, Again, obviously not exactly the same, like not everything is going to be exactly the same as a movie, but like just the feelings, the basic, like the bare bones of the character dynamics, I was like, oh, that's familiar. So like, yeah, the whole confrontation with her and then like making up at the end or near the end, I don't know, it wasn't like at the end. That whole situation is just like very cathartic because it was like a happy ending that I'll probably not have. That sounds very sad, but it was a good feeling. It was like, at least I have this to kind of latch onto. Okay, I'm kind of having an epiphany here. I just kind of realized that like the things I related to or like that kind of made me feel better were like all had to do with like worries about the future. Like, oh, my grandma will never understand me. Oh, well, here's this fictional grandma understanding her granddaughter, and it's like, it probably won't happen for me, but just seeing it is enough. And that brings me to the other character I felt incredibly called out by, which is Bruno. And I didn't relate as much to his like situation as much as just like his vibe, like unhinged, lives alone in absolute garbage. I'm like, you didn't have to come for me like this, dude. But getting back to the whole like my worries about the future thing, um, the thing that was kind of like calmed by this character was the idea of me like just being alone forever. I was like, I'm coming to terms with the fact that I'm pretty much guaranteed not to ever get married, and I'm like, I wouldn't be happy married, I don't think, but I'm not exactly happy now either. And like, since having this realization that I'll never get married, probably. I mean, I don't want to say never because like there's always the tiny chance, but um, that whole thought had me kind of going like, well, I'm gonna be alone for the rest of my life. There will be no people ever to talk to, ever. But then this movie comes, smacks me in the face, and said, no, you still have siblings. They'll still be married, probably. I don't know. You'll still have like nieces and nephews to hang out with. And I'm like, wait, that's kind of rad, actually. I want what this dude has. Also, a lot of fans had Kenan Bruno as autistic, which I get. Like, a lot of his mannerisms are like very relatable. Some things are like kind of textbook, like examples of kind of surface level signs of being autistic. I'm like, oh, I do that and stuff. Um, but at the same time, it's like this man has been living like alone without any human contact for 10 years. I think anybody in that situation would be very awkward and weird upon first meeting a new person. So yeah, that got really personal. Who needs therapy when you have drawings you can talk to? So yeah, that's my movie review and other thoughts, I guess. I just love this movie so much, dude. It's so good. Um, Also, I should add that I watched it 6 times because like every time I was watching it with a new person, so it's not like I just sat there by myself watching it. Um, so that's a thing. um, will I be watching it again soon? Probably yes. Yeah. Um, so yeah, the end. Um, Check out the movie. It's very good. Also, Dolores and Camilo are my other favorites. I love them so much.